Noise cancellation works well. Transparency mode does not. Apple AirPods Pro 2nd Generation Wireless Earbuds with MagSafe charging case. This product is sold by Apple. Active noise cancellation reduces unwanted background noise. Adaptive transparency lets outside sounds in while reducing loud environmental noise. Personalized spatial audio with dynamic head tracking places sound all around you. Multiple ear tips XSSML. Touch control lets you swipe to adjust volume, press to direct media playback, answer or end calls, and press and hold to switch between listening modes. Sweat and water resistant for AirPods Pro and charging case. MagSafe charging case with speaker and lanyard loop. Up to 6 hours of listening time with active noise cancellation on. Up to 30 hours of total listening time with the MagSafe charging case and active noise cancellation on. Quick access to Siri by saying "Hey Siri." 4.7 out of 5 stars. The Apple AirPods Pro 2nd has a total of 1473 reviews. Product linked in the description below. The first review is from John Kyle. Noise cancellation works well. Transparency mode does not. 3.0 out of 5 stars. My use case for these is as daily wear headphones, particularly while working in an office. I have AirPods Gen 1 and I'm quite fond of them, but I'm also a fan of active noise cancellation. They're good enough that I'm probably going to wear them in my car, since my Apple Watch informs me that my car is a loud enough environment that I'm vulnerable to long-term hearing damage. It's a convertible. The exhaust is quiet, but there's a lot of wind noise, and the top doesn't do much to quiet other people's exhausts, and despite lacking a rating, the rubber earpiece. Transparency mode, on the other hand, is a massive disappointment. The idea behind transparency mode is essentially a not rated for hearing protection version of what you get with a pair of Sordans, except instead of passive noise reduction with ambient noise pass-through with processing to filter out sharp sounds, normalization and clipping and filtering of loud sounds, and a volume control so that ambient non-noise sound can be. You sort of get a version of that. The AirPods Pro 2 add active noise reduction on top of it. Unfortunately, it's tuned very poorly. The default transparency mode plus active transparency performs something like, you get a volume level that is basically slightly louder than ambient, but with maybe some reduction of low-range sounds, and crucially, a significant boost to mid and particularly high-range sounds. HVAC noise is actually worse in transparency than it is when you're not wearing the AirPods at all. It also has an extremely unfortunate effect on keyboard sounds. I am a pilot and I've used headsets with active noise cancellation, mostly light speeds, for about 15 years now. I was an early adopter, and I also use electronic hearing protection while shooting. A typical Kypress is sort of a dull, low clack. The default transparency settings turn it into a louder, shriller, sharper click. My keyboard, which I never really thought about before, is actually quite unpleasant in transparency mode. In general, the default transparency mode is probably something one would only use for very short periods, such as a temporary interaction with someone, e.g., long enough to order coffee. For longer-term use, it's unpleasant enough that you would simply pull the AirPod out rather than switch modes. This is unfortunate, as it largely undermines the entire sales pitch for the AirPods Pro. They aren't something you could put in and leave in with transparency enabled while on a walk with a friend and carry on a conversation with someone while preventing your ears from being hurt by a passing vehicle that's had its exhaust system compromised, or wear in the office listening to music and switched to transparency mode to have a conversation with some coworkers. It amplifies background noise again. Keyboards become particularly unpleasant enough. The AirPods Pro 2 are significantly cheaper than aviation headsets, but roughly in the price range of shooting headsets, so I thought I had a pretty good idea what I was getting into with these. I There are custom adjustments for transparency inexplicably buried a couple layers deep in accessibility settings rather than in the AirPod configuration menus, and they help. Sort of. It's possible. With some fiddling, the best settings I found were maximum ambient noise reduction. It just makes Kypresses to shrill, sharp, and loud. There's a pretty significant amount of processing power built into these for their tiny size though, so hopefully Apple will be able to update their algorithm such that you can wear them while using a computer. Honestly, given that Apple sells computers, it's kind of shocking that they were released in this state, but here we are. It's worth noting that part of my disappointment comes from the Sordens I have being totally usable in similar situations, but lacking Bluetooth, and also obviously being industrial hearing protection, and I also have a set of Walker's digital hearing protection that does have Bluetooth and is much better at ambient sound pass-through at half the price, but having disappointed. Drive by them if you have an iPhone and want good active noise cancellation in a very compact package with good battery life and decent sound for music. If you're buying them as something you could wear to get essentially some background noise reduction and loud noise reduction in an office setting while still being able to talk to coworkers with them, in their weird tendency to actually amplify certain unpleasant frequency ranges in transparency mode makes them poorly suited for this application. Earbuds that offered an active noise cancellation that was not necessarily useful for hearing protection. They have no rating, but offered something like the active noise cancellation I'm used to from my Lightspeed Aviation headset in noise cancelling mode, and something like the noise reduction with voice pass-through that I'm used to from my sword and shooting headset when in noise reduction mode delivers shockingly well. It does a very good job of shutting out ambient noise. Someone watching television in the background, significantly muted. A fan noise gone. This review is from Penny Pincher. A big leap forward in Airbud tech. 5.0 out of 5 stars. This has been my most compelling purchase in a long time. Apple just took audio integration to the next level. They simply cover a better range of sound when listening and offer a more complete listening experience. I use Spotify almost exclusively, and with some tweaks, in the Spotify 6-band EQ I actually prefer this sound profile over my Sennheiser M2 Earbuds, which are widely regarded as some of the best sounding earbuds on the market. 2. Adaptive transparency. The adaptive transparency feature has been such a game changer for me. Basically, it filters out any loud sounds over 95 dB and automatically lowers that sound to match everything else you hear. This does not sound like that big of a deal, but for those of us who use earbuds for several hours a day in noisy environments, it changes the game. No more worrying about the deafening jolt of a dog barking or a car honking in transparency mode. The new TWO chip lets you hear your environment as if you had no earbuds on at all, very natural, and without the worries of yesterday's deafening surprises. 3. Spatial audio. This might be the feature that surprised me most, only because the older version of spatial audio did not do much and had very few applications to use it with. With the new update, this version of spatial audio is such a substantial improvement it cannot be overstated. There are 4 major reasons to upgrade your AirPods to the Pro Gen 2. Apple has a customizable feature for spatial audio when you hold the phone about 10 inches from your ear. The lidar scans your ear canal in order to figure out the proper sound implementation. I know it sounds very gimmicky, but it actually works very well. I am now a believer. I went from watching an occasional movie with the old version to now almost exclusively leaving the spatial audio on. It adds an incredible amount of soundstage and depth. So not just hearing voice and instrumental separation from left to right, but also you can distinguish sounds from front to back as well. And this works for music, but it noticeably changes my podcasts also. It sounds like you're actually in the room listening live now. Try the song Bubbles by Yosi Horikowa. It will blow your mind. 4. It's important to upgrade your iPhone with iOS 16. ANC. Considering how light and comfortable the Gen 2s are, I'm deeply impressed with how much noise is filtered out. It eliminates the all lower frequencies like AC or a treadmill, and it brings voices down to a very slight whisper. Even while listening to a podcast, when ANC is activated, you will not hear anything else around you. It's a marked improvement over Mime 3. Other improvements: the case has a speaker now and lets you track it within a foot when lost. Just open the Find My app and it will guide you with an arrow to where the case is. Full Siri integration. You can use Siri for everything from turning on transparency mode or ANC to playing music, to listening and sending messages, weather updates, making calls. You can be 100 hands-free the whole day if you want it to be. Volume button. Finally, Apple. Now you can slide up or down on either Earbud stem for volume control. It feels awkward at first, but you get used to it quickly. I will update with any issues if I run into with them, but as of now I can't think of a single flaw these have other than maybe the lack of color options. 0 or higher in order to realize the benefits of these Earbuds. If you have an iPhone, these are a must. Let me know if this helps. Without this update, you will not have access to adaptive transparency or the new spatial audio, so before testing, make sure you do this step. 1. Sound. The clarity and detail these produce is astounding, especially with the new custom spatial audio activated, but we will get to that later. Bass sub-frequencies now extend all the way down to 20s versus the Gen 1's 40, so it goes low. Not only is it lower, but it's a lot more present. They finally gave these buds the oomph they needed to compete with the top-tier wireless audio. Our first question is from TPW. What's the difference between simple AirPods? By simple AirPods, I assume you mean the AirPods Pro Generation 1. Non-Pro AirPods are non-noise cancelling that do not have tips in its seal in the ear. They do not go as far into the ear. AirPods Pro are noise cancelling and require properly sized tips that go further into the ear to create a seal in your ear to use. See more. By simple AirPods, I assume you mean the AirPods Pro Generation 1. Non-Pro AirPods are non-noise cancelling that do not have tips in its seal in the ear. They do not go as far into the ear. This gives the potential for increased bandwidth for higher quality music stream. Just know that only iPhone 14 has Bluetooth 5.3.2. Both sides must have the 5.3. It has about 25 better battery. But the big one that can't yet be qualified is the newer driver. This and the TWO chip will have the biggest impact on the quality of the audio. It is all but certain the audio quality will be better, but how much is to be determined. See less. AirPods Pro are noise cancelling and require properly sized tips that go further into the ear to create a seal in your ear. To use some of the AirPods Pro auto functions, you have to have a good seal that passes the ear tip fit test. What the AirPods Pro 2 have that the AirPods Pro 1 don't. The case has a FinMe speaker. When the AirPods are in the case, the FinMe ping comes from the case. It also includes low battery ping. The case has a lanyard connector. Apple claims a big improvement in noise cancellation mode and transparency mode. It has the newest Apple TWO chip. Product linked in the description below. For more content like this, please subscribe and click the bell icon so you are notified of new uploads. We upload new videos every day. See you next time.